Hey everybody, welcome back to The Stuff of Legend. My name is D-Lo and I've got another video for you guys. Today we are going to be talking about none other than Star Wars, and Star Wars being more alive than ever in my estimation. I'll tell you guys why I think that. But let's go ahead and jump right into the first topic conversation of the day. Let me see if I can get this thing up here. And there we go. Hey guys. Sorry, I got a new toy for Christmas and I've been playing with it here on my computer, trying to get these live streams drastically overhauled and better as a viewing experience for you guys. So bear with me as some of these functions may or may not happen as soon as I want them to. So I'm going to try to get those things dialed in for you. But enough lollygagging. Let's go ahead and take a look at what we're talking about today. First, I want to talk to you guys about Mandalorian. I will not discuss spoilers with you guys because I understand many of you guys have not seen The Mandalorian. So I will not disclose any details about The Mandalorian. And no matter at what point you are in the story, I will not say anything. So you're safe, okay? No spoilers whatsoever. But I will say this. This is the consensus. This is the review. When was the last time you guys saw the critic rating and the audience rating almost identical? It's pretty rare. Most of the time you see a very high critic score and a very low audience score, or the opposite, a very low critic score and a very high audience score. In this situation, there happens to be a very high critic score and a very high audience score, almost identical, with 94 being the critic score and 93 being the audience score, which is ridiculous considering how many audience members have reviewed this, 5,051, and you still got a consensus of 93% like this show. It is a great show. It's simple, it's effective, it's beautiful. It is enjoyable for all kinds, all ages. It does not matter who you are. You can pretty much almost always connect with The Mandalorian, and it's just expertly written by Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. Love it. I'm a huge fan. If you guys didn't already see, I got the Mythosaur skull on my hat. I've got Mandalore here. It's mirrored right now just for the heck of it, but take a look at that. It says Mandalore. I got the Mythosaur on my chest. I'm all Mandoed out right now, dude. All about that Mando. And so if you guys haven't gotten a chance to see this show, I wanted to point something else out to you guys. The recent episodes that have happened, so the last two episodes, which is episode 7 and episode 8, no spoilers whatsoever, but they're freaking great. And just to prove that, I wanted to show you, let me see if we can see the rating here. Rotten Tomatoes gave the episodes for The Mandalorian, episodes 9 and 10. I'm sorry, what was it? 7 and 8, The Reckoning and Redemption, 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. Very, very rare that anything gets 100%, but these did. So episode 7 and episode 8 got 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is impressive. And again, most people are like, oh, well, I never trust the critics. Well, do you trust the audience scores? Because right now, everybody, the critics and the audience, and nerds like myself and you, are loving this show. So check it out if you haven't already. I highly recommend it. We've got a couple more things off the bat for Mando really quickly. So I already showed you guys. There's some the links to all of these things are in the description below. I won't waste your time with these, but you can go ahead and read these on your own. I just don't want to read them in case there's spoilers for people who haven't already seen the show. But it's in the link down below, so you can click on one of those and find these. Now, for those of you guys who are wondering, is Mando season 2 coming? When is it coming? What's gonna happen? I wanted to show you guys something interesting I saw on Twitter. Jon Favreau, the showrunner, he's the producer. He's also the writer, the co-writer with Dave Filoni. Amazing guy. You guys know him as Happy from Iron Man, The Avengers, Spider-Man Homecoming, and Far From Home. But check this out. He posted this twit pic, if that's what you want to call it. Season 2 of The Mandalorian coming fall 2020. Now, where have you guys seen an ugly mug like this before? this ugly mug looks very much like this ugly mug. Now, granted, this one is much fatter and is an older pic. It's older, sir. Or it's an older picture, sir, but it checks out. This one is a Gamorrean guard all done up in his Gamorrean guard outfit and garb while he's on Jabba's barge. So we go back to this picture and it's the same species. However, it's clearly not nearly as overweight and there's no guard uniform. Now, what does this say about this creature? Obviously, this looks to be on top of a table. It looks like a minifigure. But that being said, it's still something that it gives us a little bit of context. What we know about Mando so far, without having to spoil anything, is that it's very lore-centric. It does a lot to build the lore and the history that is in existing Star Wars canon. So it goes back and it calls to the prequels. It calls to the original trilogy. It calls to the animated series, which obviously Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau have had a hand in writing and creating in the past, together even. And so these two guys making this show are huge Star Wars nerds, not only of the existing Star Wars canon, the Disney era canon, but also of the old canon, of the extended universe. And which is no longer, we call that Legends. It's no longer canon. However, a lot of things in recent years, specifically the last year and a half, 2 years, have been either adapting old canon to fit into new canon by tweaking it a little bit, or they've been directly calling back to new canon or to old canon. And that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about at the end of this video. I'll mention something that happened in The Rise of Skywalker that probably went over most people's heads. It was so quick. There was so much going on in The Rise of Skywalker. But I wanted to show you guys this first. So this image specifically, Gamorrean guard, looks pretty rough. This guy's got a lot of bruises and cuts. A little bit different than this guy, who seems to be, even though he's a little gross, he's a little bit more less brutalized, I think. His horns are intact. He looks like he's just kind of been sitting pretty in Jabba's palace, eating way too much, doing not nearly enough guarding. I imagine that if you're in the house of a Hutt, an intergalactic gangster with a reputation that spans the entire cosmos, you probably don't have to do a lot of kicking people out of the door. So in this situation, we're seeing a much more slim, fit, ripped Gamorrean guard. Still a Gamorrean nonetheless, but he looks more almost, I would say, native. Like, he looks like he's bucked his horns against other male Gamorreans, been in tons of scraps. He's got scars on his face and his shoulders. This is a Gamorrean we've not seen yet. This is a Gamorrean that we've not encountered. We haven't seen one like this before. And I think that's the point. We know that the lore of Mandalorian, without getting into spoilers again, guys, does explore certain species. I won't say who it is, but species that historically have had very little known information about their lore, their homeworld, their planets, their race, their diets, everything that hardcore nerds dive into and really want to know about, that most people wouldn't even give a second thought to. Mando has done a good job. The show has done a good job of really expounding upon those histories. And that's because Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau are lore guys. They love lore and they build lore. That's what they did in the Clone Wars. That's what they did in Rebels. And that's what they're doing here now. I think we're going to see Mando visit the homeworld of the Gamorreans, which I believe is called Gamor, which makes sense. Gamorreans. But I believe they're going to visit Gamor. And why I think this is interesting is because there was a couple of episodes of Mando where he visits other places, let's say that, and we see other cultures, other life forms, other systems in the galaxy, which were fascinating and fun to see. One of my favorite episodes is number 4. I won't say what's in there, but if you have seen that, you kind of already know what I'm talking about. Just explores basically a different world, and you get to see those kinds of things. With this picture being posted up, it's obviously some sort of a concept art, some tabletop model where they're going to build stuff off of this model and bring it to life in Mando. whether it's an extra, whether it's a warrior that they're going to encounter. One thing to note is that a quick back history on the Gamorreans reveals that it may be a nice place for Mando to hide out if need be. It is pretty desolate. They were never really intelligent, not to the degree of even building off-world tech. So they could never even build the ships to get off their planet. So usually pretty low tech. They don't like blasters. They prefer melee combat. Very grunt, very brutish. If you guys have seen Warcraft, they're very much like the orcs in Warcraft, just big, hulking, strong, a warrior race. Matriarchal. They have the female is the lead. Let me see. I have my notes right here. Let me refer to that really quick because I don't remember off of the top of my head what I was going to say about. Okay, here we go. So matriarchal system. The female's called the Sow, and they're the clan matron, and the Boar are the male warlords. So the men are the warriors, but the females do the hunting and the gathering, and there is a female matriarch over each clan. So the planet's ran by different clans of these guys, and the clan mother, the clan matron, chooses the best, strongest, most skilled warrior among them to become her husband. She becomes the bride, but she's still in charge. So that's how it works for them. It's very kind of like lionesses, except for it's the opposite, where the lioness is still in control, even though she is the warrior. These guys are the warrior, and the female is in control. So that's kind of how it goes there. It's pretty interesting, especially because it also, their lore, what we know from the Legends universe, none of this was explored in canon, but there was some old books and I believe some comics as well that talked about these guys. I'm really excited to see what they do as far as maybe taking Mando to Gamorre, or the opposite, having a Gamorrean that traditionally cannot get off of their home world outside of being pirated or sold as a slave or something like that. Maybe they get off the planet. There was in history one Gamorrean that had been experimented by the Empire to increase their intelligence, but then it got intelligent enough to escape the Empire and then join the rebels and became a pilot, which is really fun. So I don't know. I'm really excited by this. Jon Favreau does a lot in the way of teasing and entertaining fans on Twitter. Super cool. And he also gave us a release date for Mando Season 2, fall 2020. So I know that's just shy of another year away. So we're going to have to wait and just hunker down and rewatch The Mandalorian 150 times. But I'm really excited. They're already working on it. They've been working on it since last month. Just super stoked. I can't wait. What do you guys think about all this? I'm super, super pumped. I've got some comments. So let me go ahead and just jump over and take some comments, and then I'll get right back into the next couple topics because I'm not going to take very long with these, all right? But let me just hit the comments really fast. So Hunter Iggy says, Daniel Loera, hi. What's up, dude? How you doing, man? It's great to have you here. And Daniel's Hot Topics says, he says, hi, what's up? That season finale was great. Yes, it was. Oh my gosh, it was so good. I absolutely love the finale. The last two, actually, I would say the last 3 episodes of The Mandalorian were just perfection. They were gold. That's exactly what I love and want from Star Wars. And that again ties back to what we're seeing here with this handsome brute, Jon Favreau, not the Gamorrean, is that he's all about lore building. He's all about building the history that is Star Wars in a good way. And it's hard to do. It's easy to talk about it as a fan and just say what we want, but to go out there and make something that is pleasing to the fans and builds up the history that came before what he's making is very difficult to do. And he's getting it done in a marvelous way. I absolutely love what they're doing over there at Mando. The finale blew my brains out of my head sideways. It was so cool. Well, I won't get into spoilers for you guys. I'll do a separate video later this week, or maybe either Monday or maybe Friday if I can find the time to do it. But One day this week I'll do a Mando spoiler discussion, and we can just go nuts because I've got so much I need to talk about regarding the Mandalorian history, the things they showed, that certain characters and objects, things that were given to others, characters that came and went, and all that stuff. So I've got to talk about these things with you guys. We'll do that in another video, but absolutely, probably one of the best series finales I've seen, maybe since, gosh, it's hard to say. What's the best series finale I've seen? I'm thinking either Avatar: The Last Airbender, which had a really, really epic season finale, or possibly Rebels. Rebels had a great series ending. So anyway, but those are animated, and it's really hard to really stick the landing on a live action too. All right, so next we have Moff Gideon was cool, and the end scene was awesome. Do you watch Star Wars Rebels? Yes, I do. So I just read that right now. Yes, I watch Rebels. Yes, I'm aware of what the heck you're talking about. I'm aware of the object. You know what I'm talking about at the end. The object at the end, the history of that object, where it comes from, how it was made, and then the people that it kind of passed hands to all the way throughout. I'm a huge Clone Wars fan, huge Rebels fan. I've rewatched them both multiple times. And I've also played a lot of games that pertain to certain histories. So I'm not going to say too much more than that in a non-spoiler discussion. But yes, I love what they did with Moff Gideon. I love the actor, Giancarlo Esposito. Love him. He's the best villain you could put in any TV show ever. One of the best TV actors of all time. And I love the character and how putting him in that show, in that season, it really put a magnifying glass on the history of Mandalore. You know what I mean? Like, I know you know what I mean, but everyone else is going to have to wait for the spoiler discussion to talk about that. But yes, excellent point. Next, Hunter Iggy says, hey, Stuff of Legend. He says, who would you cast as Dr. Let me see if I can find this. It cuts off the end of my screen, so let me just go ahead and type something in over on my side. Dr. Fate and Isis, the wife of Black Adam, and Hawk Girl and Hawkman and Atom Smasher and Stargirl. So that's like a ton of things to fan cast right now off the top of my head, which I was not prepared for. Shoot. Dr. Fate. Don't know. I mean, Dr. Fate, that's a hard one to cast. I feel, because you kind of just have to get someone that's dead that plays like non-emotion pretty well. Maybe just has a powerful voice. I would go for someone that has a powerful voice and can be quite stoic. That's who I would go with. I don't know who that would be off the top of my head. So I won't get into that really quick. Let me see if I can get Isis. I know who she is, but I just can't think who I might want to play her. It's kind of a tough one. I've got an actress in my head, but I can't think of her name. So I'm just going to wait on that. Maybe I'll have to do a fan cast for you in the future. That way I can get all these things done. Yeah, because I don't think I'll be able to get all these. Oh, except Hawkman. I would probably go with someone like Alan Ritchson all day long. Alan Ritchson is probably one of my favorite actors for TV or movies. I love that guy, and I think he's killing it as Hawk on Titans right now. But I think he'd also be a really great Hawkman. He's a stacked beefcake with crazy acting talent. Amazing. And he's really great at playing a jerk too. So that would be really good. Okay. All right. And that is the last of the comments for now. You guys can keep rolling them in for the time being. I'm just going to move ahead. We've already hit 20 minutes, so I don't want to take too much longer. I've got a couple more things to say, and then that'll be it. So one more thing I wanted to show you guys. Now, I know we already discussed Mando Season 2 a little bit. We just talked about Jon Favreau confirming it. So this title here is a little bit of a moot point. We already talked about, will there be a season 2? Yes, there will. Anyone who knows anything about pop culture knows that a successful TV show that is the flagship show for a brand will get a season 2 no matter what. And this one is killing it. So it will get a season 2, and we already have that confirmed. So Disney Plus was launched, blah, 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 blah. Anyway. I'm just going to give you guys the gist here. Speaking to Collider, Favreau, the showrunner of Mandalorian, said, I wanted to do a Star Wars TV show like The Mandalorian, and I pitched it to them, being Disney Star Wars, and they were very open to it. I even wrote 4 episodes before I was even hired to do it because I was excited as a fan to see what those stories might be and see if they were interested in doing what I was interested in, which they were. And I was actually writing season 2 this morning before I came here, meaning to the interview. And then it says, by fall of this year, directors were already lined up for season 2 episodes, which is pretty awesome. During this Disney Plus press event a few weeks before the service launched, Dave Filoni revealed that a familiar face would be ducking behind the camera for the new season. And then, according to the Disney Insider, it says Filoni announced that Carl Weathers, who portrays Greef Karga, which is, by the way, Carl Weathers, if you guys aren't familiar with that name, that's Apollo Creed from Rocky. So, yeah, he's in The Mandalorian season 1. He's probably going to be in season 2, and he is also going to be directing here, and we'll read what he's saying here. In the live action series. So the Carl Weathers who plays Greef Karga in the live action series will be directing an episode from season 2. It was reported a while back that executive producer Jon Favreau would also step behind the camera for an undisclosed amount of episodes. Now, I have a theory about why this is the case. Not only because, he's an amazing director. He did Iron Man. He did Elf. He's done a ton of different things that have been very, very successful. A couple things that were not so great, but that's not a big deal. He's an A-list director, A-list producer, A-list writer. The guy is amazing, incredibly, and a great actor. He's a top tier actor as well. And I would say if he's not an A+ actor, he's an A actor, A- at the very worst. Really good. So there's nothing this guy can't do. And he's saying here, Filoni also confirmed that season 2 was currently underway with at least the first week or so already completed, which is really good news. They're just steamrolling Mando. Let's go full on Mando. Let's knock out a bunch of episodes. And they're not just like mass producing episodes. They're just staying on top, staying focused, just saying, look, yes, we got all these episodes out, but we need to keep working so that next year we can have the same amount of things. That way, every year we can have 8 episodes done. That's not that crazy when you have a bunch of directors on the project. And so check. I want to touch back on this though. So it was reported, it says here, it was reported a while back that executive producer Jon Favreau would also step behind the camera for an undisclosed amount of episodes. Now, I think the reason why this is happening is because Deborah Chow, who was the female director, the Asian director, who directed episodes 3 and episodes 7 of The Mandalorian, both of which have been noted as fan favorites. Number 1, directed by Dave Filoni, was good. It was his first directorial debut in live action. He's done a lot of animated stuff, but never done any live action until The Mandalorian. I thought episode 1 was really good. And I thought that was a really great episode. Episode 5 was the other one he did, which was also good. It was fun. It had a different feel, different tone than the rest of the episodes, but I didn't find that to be off-putting or upsetting at all. I thought it was just a fun side quest that will probably pay off in the next episode. And so we will find out what is going to happen. I think I have a theory about connected dots from past episodes. I won't get into that though. I'll save that for a spoiler discussion. So hang on to those types of things. We have here news that Favreau is going to step in. I think it's because Deborah Chow is already working on the Obi-Wan series, and she's going to be very, very busy. the reason I say that is because she did 2 episodes of season 1. They were fan favorites. She's an incredible director, maybe arguably the best director on their roster next to Taika Waititi. But she won't be available for season 2. So I believe Jon Favreau, wanting to make sure that the quality of the show is top tier, he's going to step behind the camera himself. He's going to direct those episodes himself. Instead of just producing and writing and show running, he's going to also be a director, a functioning director. And I think he's going to probably maybe do the first or second episode and see how many more he can be involved with at that point in time. Excuse me. I think that if he had someone that was capable of doing both, like the Obi-Wan series, had partners that were going to do it like Mando was, like where all of the shows guys have like a bunch of directors involved with the same project. A movie will only have one director usually, but not a TV show. A TV show will knock out episode by episode with different directors so that they can have them kind of, they can cycle them. You can shoot the scenes, right? The actors are only on contract for like, I don't know, let's just pretend for the sake of math, 10 weeks. And you've got 10 episodes to shoot, right? So you have the first director come in for a week and shoot all of his scenes with the actors. Then after their week 1 is done, they shoot. He takes that week 1 footage and moves on to post-production where he can work on editing and lighting and sound and all that stuff. Meanwhile, all the actors are moving into week 2. Director number 2 comes in and does shooting with the actors for week 2. And then he's shooting while team 1 is over here working on the editing for episode 1. See, episode 2 gets shot and done, and then the actors get pushed over to the team 3. Team 2 is now working on their editing, and Team 1's getting ready to finish. So they're getting ready to put out their episode while this guy's working, and the next team is getting ready to start their production. So it kind of just keeps the train rolling. Do you see how that kind of works? It just goes, this guy started, this guy's getting ready. He's done shooting, post-production. This guy's going in, shooting. This guy's getting ready to wrap. This guy starts going into post-production. This guy starts shooting, and it just keeps going that way. Very, very hard to explain verbally, but they just keep it going. And it with the Obi-Wan series, though, I think they're going to do it a little bit more like a movie. It might even be a limited series because Deborah Chow is directing the entire thing. So I don't think they're going to do it in the same format as the 8-episode series like Mando. I think they're going to do it maybe a little bit shorter than that. They might kind of make it like a limited short series, or they could end up doing it a full 8 episodes, which I think would be kind of weird. I don't know if that would, I mean, I would love it. I'm going to love Obi-Wan no matter what. They got Ewan McGregor for it. I can't see how I'll hate it. Unless they Last Jedi that thing. If they Last Jedi that thing, I'm going to hate the heck out of it. But anyway, some really fun news. I'll save that for another discussion. I feel like that could go on for way too long, and I don't want to bore you guys. If you guys want to hear more about that, talk to me in the comments. Let me know. And I'll hit those comments in just a second. I just want to get through this really quick. No release date as of yet, but most streaming services usually hold a full year between releases to make sure the show, to make the show more of an event. And I agree with that. This next statement is a little weird, though, because it says, with Lucasfilm already worried about oversaturating the market after Solo Star Wars Story did poorly, it's a good bet Mando Season 2 won't be out until November of 2020. Now, we know based on the tweet that, yes, fall 2020 is when it's coming out. November is in fall, so that works. But on the same token, I think that Lucasfilm's problem wasn't that they had too much Star Wars coming out. It's that they tried to stagger films like how you do a TV show with one director here, one director there, the next director there, and you can cycle directors to pump out more stuff. They tried to do that with the episodic films, which would not have been a problem, except they allowed each director their own creative narrative, and that cannot happen. You have to have one guy, one plan, one one story that you're trying to tell. You can't have two different guys with two different stories trying to tell it in the same trilogy. That is where the sequel trilogy fell apart. And it wasn't inherently Rian Johnson's fault, but he should have seen how problematic it could have been that he was given creative freedom after the trilogy was already pre-written by JJ, and he had a goal in mind, he had an end in mind, he had a middle in mind, and he made his film based on that. And then Ryan comes in and says, you know what? No, I'm just going to do my own thing. They should have seen that coming. They should have seen all of that happening and said, no, Rian Johnson, you don't have creative freedom. You have to follow JJ's path. Or just give it all to JJ and take your time with the trilogy. So I think that's where it comes in. It's not a matter of getting Solo and the sequel trilogy out and Clone Wars and this and that. Fans will consume it all. I'll consume every single part of that all day long, every day. But you got to do it good, and that's where they biffed. You know, like they basically just allowed creative narrative to be whoever's. It doesn't matter if it's linear or not, and for that reason, I ended up liking The Rise of Skywalker more than I didn't. So, and I'll give you guys a quick comparison anyway. So first, let's just go here and take a look at this. I want to get into some Rise of Skywalker news. Before we move on into this, so hold your horses. We're going to get into The Rise of Skywalker, and then we'll close out, okay? I'm going to take some comments really quick because we're getting a couple in here. So it says, Hunter Iggy says, hey, what about the guy who played Doctor Doom for the Fantastic Four movie for Dr. Fate? You know, that's actually not a bad idea. Toby Kebbell, do you mean him, or do you mean the one from the old Fantastic Four that played the Victor Von Doom that had a good costume? I like the costume on Victor Von Doom from 2004 or whatever it was, 2006. That was a good one. I liked both the actors, but it's like they didn't understand the character of Doctor Doom very well, which sucked. That really sucked. And I feel bad for both those actors because I really love Toby Kebbell, and even though his name is slipping my mind, I keep forgetting his name, but Doctor Doom from the 2006 version of Fantastic Four. I liked that actor. So, yeah, I think either of those could work for Dr. Fate, in my opinion. I think they'd be good. And then it says, I hope Clancy Brown will be back for The Mandalorian Season 2. His character was awesome, and The Mandalorian had the hardest time with him. I agree. I really liked Clancy Brown in The Mandalorian episode 6. I thought that was that was not the best episode, but I think it was maybe my favorite episode. I really, really like that episode. And actually, if you watch through to the end, they already answered that problem. So and I don't want to give away spoilers, but the answer to your question lies at the end of the episode. And I believe that season 2 will have more answers like that. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay, next up we have Clancy Brown was Lex Luthor in the 90s in Superman the Animated Series. Yes, he was. In fact, if you didn't know, Clancy Brown is Mr. Krabs. So Clancy Brown is he's the voice of Mr. Krabs. Let me see if I can get, you know what? No, it's okay. I want to try to wrap this up as soon as I can. I don't want to take too much time for you guys. I understand you guys' time is precious. So last question here from Daniel's Hot Topics. Do you think eventually the team that Mando left on the Republic ship, maybe they join the Mandalorians as his crew? Let me see if I can read this proper. Hang on. I'm going to go ahead and type this in right here. Do you think eventually that team that Mando left on the Republic ship? Yeah. So I think that, yes, that's what he was that you were talking about. I do think that crew, you mean the one that was with Bill Burr and I almost said Tom Clancy, Clancy Brown. I think that eventually they'll cross paths with Mando again. Either they're going to hunt him down again, or they will have to work together on another mission, and it's going to be hilarious. It's going to be amazing. I love Bill Burr's character Mayfeld. I forget what his name is, Berg, the Deveronian, which was Clancy Brown's character. and Shira, something like that. The Twi'lek. It was a really good crew. I like that crew. I like the droid Zero. Maybe they'll repair that guy. Really, really fun. Yeah. I don't want to give too many spoilers. So, other than that, I think we're ready to get moving. So that's the last of the comments here. I do think we will see them again. And yeah, let's go ahead and talk about the Rise of Skywalker. So, without getting too crazy on this and without making too wild a prediction, I do think that this is a good number. So some people online were saying that the Rise of Skywalker was failing. It was not doing well. And I don't think by any stretch of the imagination that that's a fair statement, given that I'm pretty sure it beat its budget opening day or opening weekend, not day, opening weekend. And it's doing really well for itself. Whether or not it's going to come anywhere close to its predecessor's record, not even sure. But I do think it'll get relatively close. So like if I go like this and I go The Last Jedi, and then I go here, 1,332,000,000. So 1.3 billion is what The Last Jedi made, and we're at 700 million. So I think that if it has legs, which I think it will, if I could make a prediction, I do think that the Rise of Skywalker will have legs and carry itself to a very healthy and high number for box office, because even though it is divisive, even though a lot of people have a lot of problems with the Rise of Skywalker and a lot of people are very divided over it, I do think that the Rise of Skywalker is one that will be rewatched. It's very rewatchable because as soon as I left the theater, it was hard for me to wrap my mind around the entire picture of the film. I remember moments, and moments would come back to me in days following the viewing of the film, and I wanted so badly just to watch it again. That way I could process it more. I could see the good things again. It was very enjoyable. In fact, I would say of the 3 films, I think that I had more fun watching The Rise of Skywalker than I did any of the other sequel films. So The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. And even if you don't like the film as a whole or what it does to the lore or what it did to The Last Jedi, which I did like that, most of it. I think there's so much action, so much you can actually sink your teeth into, that it did end up working for a lot of people. And a lot of people are like, yeah, that was pretty great. I want to go back and see it. And people like myself who were greatly upset by The Last Jedi and how it kind of it didn't push characters forward in any way. Characters never moved forward. The only one that moved forward, I think, was Kylo Ren. Kylo Ren actually had progression in his character development in The Last Jedi. And I think he was the consistent piece throughout the entire series, because from start to finish, his character was being brought into a new place. He was pretty much the only one that didn't get screwed. Oh, I guess he maybe kind of did, but he got put down a lot, but it still fit within his character arc, I guess. So for him, I think Kylo Ren was the only one that didn't get screwed by The Last Jedi, and everyone else pretty much suffered. So yeah, that's pretty much one of the reasons why I was okay with all of the firing back at The Last Jedi, all the pokes that came back towards The Last Jedi, and the mistakes I think that were mistakes that were made in Episode 8. So yeah, for the vast majority, I think most people, audience score wise, are enjoying. Watch this. Yeah, most people I think are enjoying it. So you see the critics gave it a really, really low score. 57% is the lowest of all Star Wars scores, lower than The Phantom Menace, lower than Solo even. And the audience score is 87%, which is actually not bad. I mean, 90 would be ideal, but 87 is not bad. And so a lot of people are, in fact, liking it. 4,679 reviews on it. That's pretty good. Now, this rating, of course, the tomato meter doesn't mean that people love it. It just means that people either gave it a yes or no. There's no shades of gray in the tomato meter rating. It's only black or white. Was it good or was it bad? There's no in between. There's no, oh, I liked this about it or that about it. No. You either liked it over 70% or you didn't. And so like 69% is a fail, 70% is a thumbs up, and that's how they rate it. And so what they do then is they say, of 287 critics, 57% of these critics gave it a thumbs up. And so that's what it's saying. But 87% of the audience of almost 5,000 people gave it a thumbs up. So that's pretty good. I think that's, without gauging intensity of appreciation, it does a good job to just verify whether or not people were like, yeah, I liked it, or mostly liked it. And so that's what I think you can take away from this, is that most people mostly like it. And that's what I think is important there. And that's more or less how I feel too. I think a lot of the repair that happened in The Rise of Skywalker was good and necessary. I feel like it was very necessary, in fact. So I'm not mad about how rushed it was. And it was rushed. And I'm not mad about the things that they did to clearly backpedal from The Last Jedi, because I felt it was necessary. I felt like that kind of thing was required for some of these characters to move on, and for us as fans to connect with these characters the way that we once did, especially the ones that come from the original trilogy. It's important for us to still appreciate those characters, instead of coming into this film like, that's not my Luke, or that's not my Leia, or that's not my whoever. You just go, you know what? They actually did something to redeem this character from what that travesty was we saw in The Last Jedi. If you feel like me. If you don't feel like me, you may hate this film. But if you think like me, you might also be like my wife, who, me and her are almost identical on everything we love about Star Wars, everything we hate about Star Wars. Pretty much all of it is the same. We love the prequels. We enjoyed Solo, but we did not like The Last Jedi. All kinds of things. We watched all the animated stuff. Pretty much the same page all around. We both went into Rise of Skywalker, and we both came out feeling completely opposite. I was mostly positive. She was most entirely negative. She pretty much hated the film. So you may or may not like it. Enough about that mumbo jumbo. But the last and most fun thing, I think, this may be considered a little bit. Actually, it will be considered a bit of a spoiler. So if you haven't seen The Rise of Skywalker, it's nothing that you can't find pretty much anywhere now. If you follow memes, if you're really trying to stay off the internet, maybe you've kept away from it. But The Rise of Skywalker does do something to make the Knights of the Old Republic's Darth Revan canon. It canonizes the Old Republic. It canonizes Darth Revan specifically. And I'll show you how we do that. So if you don't want any spoilers, you may not want to look at this point. I won't get too much into this, but just to point it out, it's linked in the description. So if you want to check that out, you can read this article for yourself. But it's pretty cool. The Rise of Skywalker has a visual dictionary. So if you guys don't know, they make books about pretty much everything. When they make a Star Wars film, there's toys, there's posters, backpacks, but they also make these giant books that are visual dictionaries with pictures of the characters, the plants, the locations, the ships, the weapons, the helmets, everything that is in Star Wars, so that you can have a reference and a name for everything. And the visual dictionary for The Rise of Skywalker revealed that each, and this is kind of where it gets a little bit spoilery, but each 5,000 strong legion of blah blah blahs, blah 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 troopers. I'm not gonna go too ham on spoilers for you. You can see what I'm saying. So if you don't want spoilers, just don't read it. Um, and they're part of the blah 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 organization. I won't say what it is. They're named after the ancient Sith Lord Revan. So then it says this: one such legion called the Third Revan Legion all but confirms that Darth Revan, who was part of one of the best twists in video game history, was once a Sith Lord in the official canon of Star Wars, because it's referenced in the films. And it's referenced by Disney themselves, who makes these visual dictionaries for their films, which is pretty cool. So even though it wasn't in the film, it's not something you would catch directly. It's in a visual dictionary for the film, and it shows that so-and-so's troopers called the third, what's it called? The Third Revan Legion. That's a direct reference to Sith history that was not previously confirmed to be canon and now is. So that's pretty cool. Some deep cuts, some things they planned, but we also know that they've been planning some films. Now this part is where it gets into some older news that is no longer relevant necessarily. But they mention the Knights of the Old Republic film that's reportedly in the works. They mentioned the guys from Game of Thrones that were writing it, but they've already been they already quit or whatever. You can't quit if you're on contract, but they were basically fired from Disney, and yeah. So I think that there is an Old Republic film in the works. There's a lot of history in The Mandalorian that ties all the way back to the Old Republic. I can't talk about that now because that's spoilers. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So there's a lot of fun things. I'll do a review for The Rise of Skywalker, although I may want to wait to do that when we're getting ready to see it again. You know, I might prep my thoughts, watch the film again, come out, and then give you guys my thoughts. But I'll definitely be doing a spoiler discussion on The Mandalorian, so we can just go nuts and talk about all of the things that you and I are so excited about. Mandalorian Season 2, what happened in the season finale, what are those items? I've got tons and tons of these thoughts just rattling off, firing off in my brain. I want to talk with you guys about so much. So we'll plan that this week. I'll do a review for The Mandalorian. So stay tuned for that and watch for that here. Anyways, let me take some comments because there's some comments lighting up over this way. Let me see if I can cut to another screen. Check. Can you hear me now? Hey, sorry about that. I didn't realize that I'd cut out. Can you please tell me what part you last left out on? Because I don't know which part you I don't know where I left off. Hopefully it wasn't everything I had to say about Ray being Ray. Even if it was, I guess that's kind of spoiler territory, so I don't want to get too much into that. Anyways, let's do this. It is late where I am, so I am going to go ahead and cut it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy all of your questions, and I'm going to paste them into an email to myself so that I can answer them in a separate video. And I'll do that hopefully later this week. So, yes. If you guys can hear me now, I appreciate you guys letting me know that. Anyways, yeah, if you guys want to support my channel, please just do the following. Make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Thank you to you guys who've joined in for the live, leaving all these comments. I love having these conversations with you. That's one of the reasons why I do what I do. But if you guys see here, where is this? Here. Nope. There we go. It's mirrored, so I'm having trouble with this. But how to support me for free is like, share, comment, subscribe. How to support me financially and get some cool T-Soul merch, which is the Stuff Legend show merch. You can visit the link in my description below, tpublic.com/user/the Stuff Legend show. And you can get some merch. You can get some Fan of Much Fiction merch. You can get the new T-Soul logo merch. All kinds of cool stuff. I'm really, really excited about some of the things that are going on there. They're always doing discounts and sales and stuff like that, like different things for the holiday or the new year, blah, blah, blah. So check that out. I've got all kinds of designs for like Power Rangers, Batman, Superman, Supergirl, Spider-Man, all kinds of heroes, Thor, Daredevil, everything you can imagine, historical actors and stuff like that. You name it, I pretty much got it. I do all my designs myself, so you can check those out and support the channel. I get a cut of that profit. So you'll help me get some new tech, get some upgrades, and make more content for you. So you guys rock. Yeah, and you say I hear you now. Now, yeah, it was everything. Oh, that's a bummer. So I'll have a conversation about Ray specifically. That way I can just talk about all these questions and comments in another video. Unfortunately, I'm out of time. So yes, I will cut away so that we can get going. But anyways, let me see if I can do this. Apparently that didn't go to where I wanted it to go.
Hey guys, D-Lo here. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And remember to share this video with all of your nerd friends. I know you got them, and you know who they are. Leave a comment below and let me know what you thought about this discussion. Let me know what you would like to see me do a video on next. Subscribe to the channel because you're a legend, and we have that in common. Also be sure to turn on notifications to be notified right away when I upload my next video, or so that you can be alerted when I go live next time. That way you'll never miss a thing. Check out the other videos on the channel so that we can have a discussion on all your favorite movies and TV topics. Thanks again for watching. Stay tuned for more right here on The Stuff of Legend.